Yeah, I did.
Huh?
Yeah. I got you straight.
What's wrong with it? Like that. Tilt it, man. There you go.
Right there?
Come on, Playboy. Yeah.
There you go.
So I mean, I can get the thing in the frame. Oh, good. Oh, good.
You might lie.
Man, I ain't gonna say nothing about
Tell about that president. You already got about
I ain't
15
gonna say nothing about
cases.
President Obama, man.
You already got about
They ain't
15
cracking,
cases.
man. They ain't cracking. They ain't cracking, man. Is that better? Man, that thing is so smooth. Oh my goodness, man. He thirsty. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. This is your host, Joaquin Thompson, coming to you live from Lilburn. I be wanting to say Atlanta like I be wanting to say Atlanta, man. I can't say it though. I can't front. We can't, say we in Atlanta. We not. We way out. Man, we way out in this Stone Mountain.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming, man. We gonna work on that, man. But very glad to be here. Got a super exciting show in store for everyone this evening. And went in the studio last week. I was downtown last week.
Yep.
But before we get started, I always like to start off and give the ground rules of the Daily Bread Radio Show.
What are they?
And the ground rules are this. These are the ground rules.
Come on.
Right? These are the ground rules. Number one, the Daily Bread Radio Show is a show about personal finance and all things related to personal finance.
Come on.
So that's everything from birth to transition and everything in between. Where you live, what kind of car you drive, where you work, entrepreneur, not an entrepreneur, invest, don't invest, credit, no credit, good credit, bad credit, whatever. Everything in between is all about personal finance. So we do personal finance and we educate people on personal finance on a weekly basis. This is episode 89. So let me break that down to you. That means it's 89 weeks, 89 shows. It's 88 previous shows that you can go back and watch. If you missed any of we've had some outstanding shows over the last year and a half. February the 20th.
Come on.
February the 20th, which is in 2 weeks, will be our 2-year anniversary on the Daily Bread Radio Show. And what we've been doing over the last 2 years, this is the second ground rule, was really the first, because we always refer back to the first ground rule, which is this. We only do personal finance from a spiritual perspective. We don't.
Lord, this is Wally Amos, and you are listening to the Daily Bread Radio. It's the best radio.
What is
I got some flavor.
But the Daily Bread Radio Show, what we do is we provide we provide personal. I'm thinking about right, man. He was so smooth. But what we do is we provide information related to personal finance from a spiritual perspective. We don't do religion on the Daily Bread Radio Show, because when you start getting into religion, things really start to get complicated. People start talking about I got the right religion, so on and so. We don't do religion. We just keep it. We keep one understanding in place, and that is there's only one God, and we keep everything, and we keep God in everything that we do here. But we're not doing religion. So whatever your religion is, if you got a different belief than we do, hey, that's fine. You can call into the show. The number to the show, 678-381-1973. We have an outstanding guest that's going to be on the show. So we're going to give her some time. We're going to cover a couple other topics before she comes on. But today we're going to be joined by Maya Dukes. Maya Dukes is a branding expert. And when I say branding expert, that means she knows 100% of what she's talking about when it comes to branding. She has a phenomenal story. Not only does she have a phenomenal story, but she's going to be here tonight to share some key information about branding. And I know some people out there may be saying, because I've been telling people since last week, when I was down at the Super Bowl event, I was like, you do not want to miss the show next. You do not want to miss this show. And the reason you don't want to miss this show is this. Not only is she going to be talking about branding, but most times when you say branding to people, They're thinking about business. Like they say, oh, I don't have a business. I'm not an entrepreneur. I have a 9 to 5. I go to work. I come home. Everybody is a brand.
Yep.
Everybody is a brand. And she's, not to steal her thunder, but she's going to tell you tonight what a brand is, what it means to have a brand, and how to have consistency. There you go. Round of applause. That's for me. Is that for the topic or is that for me? Either way, this Black History Month, and I felt like it was very important for me to bring her onto the show because me and her family member, brother-in-law, are best friends. All right, and he called me early one morning about 2 weeks ago. I mean, real early. So, man, you know how you have one of them close friends. Regardless of time, he just, when you pop into the head, he called. So he called me real early and said, hey, man, I got somebody I think you need to, talk to. I think she would make an outstanding guest. I said, okay, great. I talked to her later on that day. Me and her spoke for the first time, and I mean, it was a phenomenal conversation about what she does and her program, which is called Polished Women Shine. So after I finished talking to her, I talked to my daughter, 2 daughters. I talked to my wife. But even though the name of the business is Polished Women Shine, I talked to my son, and I'm talking to me too. I talked to my producer, the 3 personalities that just left out the studio, because I'm saying this. We all need to have a strong brand. What's a strong brand? Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Starbucks, Sears, GM, Chrysler, and on and on and on. And a lot of things in our neighborhoods are brands, right? Because can you think of that one person? To this day, I'll be 52 next week, right? To this day, it's some people that I know after 52 years, I don't know their real name. I only know their name. I only know them as Peanut.
Right.
I just know Peanut. So if somebody came and said, man, I don't know, his name could be Raymond John. I don't know what his name is. But that was his brand, right? That was his brand. And if you did certain things within your neighborhood or within your family, you have a certain brand. So she's going to join the show tonight and talk to us about brand. But one of the things that I want to do, because anytime I have a guest, I want to make sure that I don't miss the opportunity to highlight the book of the week.
Yep.
Because it's very important to have this, and I think this book is one of the books that I really strongly feel is in line to what we're going to be talking about tonight as far as branding. And this book is called The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Now, The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene is an extremely powerful book, because what this book does is it talks about different elements that you can use in your life to achieve certain levels of power to create the things that you want to create in your life. I mean, it cites different, from emperors to presidents to celebrity to people that were entrepreneurs to people that overcame adversity. This is a powerful book, and everybody should have this book in their arsenal. So I'm going to just, and I'll throw out just a couple of laws to you so that way you'll understand what I'm saying when law number 9, win through your actions, never through argument. Win through your actions. What's law number 11? Learn to keep people dependent on you. Think about that. That goes into the workplace, and it also ties into your brand, because if people feel like you have a certain amount of value, then they're going to keep you around. Whatever it is, you might be a law and service guy, you might be financial analyst, whatever it is, if you have that certain, value to them, they're going to keep you around. So here's another one that's really big. Enter action with boldness. Enter action with boldness. And in this particular chapter, they're talking about when people are going to war. You don't ease into war. You come into war with shock and awe. Yep. Boom! Like, I didn't realize this was going. So you got to catch people off guard. So you're really ready to go. And here's one of my favorite ones. Law number 29. Plan. Listen to this. Plan all the way to the end. Plan all the way to the end. Now, what does that mean? That means this. You win in a fight. You in a battle. And I saw my frat brother on. He's a world-class martial artist, right? So he can appreciate this. You win in a fight. You got the person down. But you haven't submitted him yet. He hasn't tapped out. And guess what? You let him get back in the fight. And then you lose. Same thing in business. Same thing in life. Plan to the end. Because if you plan to the end, then you start to think about all the things that could go wrong in the process of planning. So that's one of the things that I definitely want you all to make sure you pick up a copy of Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power, because we are strong proponents on the Daily Bread Radio Show about reading and what you can get from reading. I met a young man, I was talking to an entrepreneur a week ago, and this was something that he shared with me that I thought was really profound. He said the reason that most people are not successful in life and in business is for 3 reasons. He said, I'm gonna give you the 3 main reasons people are not successful. He said, 1, they don't take time to read. He said, that's number 1. He said, they don't take time to read. He said, do you realize it's opportunities for you right down at your local courthouse, at the tax assessor's office, in other public places where you have access to the records, but we haven't read the documents needed in order to gain access. He said, so number 1 is you don't, or you will not take the time to read. He said, the second thing is people are not humble. He said, people are not humble. He said, people like to brag about who they are, what they are, more than what, because they like their attention. He said, but people are not humble enough to do the things that they need to do in order to be successful. And number 3, he said, this is the third one. He said, people have not made a decision to be determined. He said, they don't have enough determination. He said, because if you have determination and you can read and you humble, he said, you could do anything. And then he gave me an example. He said, think about, he said, what a lot of people hear about is the 40 acres and a mule. He said, but the truth of the matter was this. When they freed the slaves, they told them, if you go down to the county seat, which is what they called it at that time, you could go down to the county seat and fill out some paperwork, and that paperwork will give you access to some land. Now, he said, I can't quantify if it was 40 acres, 90 acres, no acres, 1 acre, but it was documented that this is what they told the freed slaves to do. Go down. He said, but the problem was, which was what? The majority of the people couldn't read because it was against the law for slaves to be able to read, right? He said, but it was a small group, a minority group that knew how to read, that went down, filled out the paperwork, and guess what? They have some of that land still in place to this day that they acquired immediately after being freed from slavery, all based on the fact that they knew how to read. So reading, being humble, and being determined. Those 3 things. And this is from someone that's like super successful that I was talking to last week, and I told him, and he's gonna be on the show. I just got to find the date and the time to have him on. So we got some future guests that are coming. And again, going back to what I was saying earlier, it's all God. Because, I mean, now people are coming to me, reaching out to me, hey man, I need to be on I got somebody you need to have on the Daily Bread Radio Show. You need to have, so I'm playing like, I'm the, casting person, I'm the, everything but the producer. I'm the executive producer. We got a producer of the show, but I'm the executive producer. So I'm being humble because I'm from where? Humblelia.
Humblelia?
Y'all thought I forgot about Humblelia, but that's what we're doing, and we really just appreciate everybody that joins the show week in and week out, because this is 89. Listen to this, man. Listen to this. You want to hear some power? Let me grab this microphone, man. You want to hear something that's powerful? How about this? How about this? Close your eyes and think about this for a moment. Just close your eyes and think about this. Think about one thing that you've been doing for the last 2 years every week. Just one thing. It could be working out. It could be cooking. It could be working on a business plan. It could be starting. One thing that you've been doing at least once a week over the last 2 years without fail, right? Without fail. Because even when I'm not on the air, I'm on the air. Because I may not be in the studio, but I'm down at the World Congress Center, or I'm off in Seattle, or I'm down in Florida. Wherever I'm at, I'm doing this show. We're only 11 shows away from hitting 100. We got a lot of feedback in the green room. 11 shows away from being at 100. We at show 89, so we right there. I remember when we was at show 30. I remember we was at 32. I remember we was at 50. I remember when we had the 75th episode. I remember the 50th, the 75th.
Yep.
I'm like, man, now we up to 89. Last week was 88, and that was prophetic because we was down at the Super Bowl. So 88, that's a big number in football. You know, Lynn Swan, Michael Irvin, you know, some other great 88s, you know. So Drew Pearson, but I'm just, man, I get so excited. But like I said, y'all buckle up. We're gonna have Maya come in, and we're gonna get Maya Dukes on the show. And trust me, I know I say this a lot. Get your pens, get your paper, get in a quiet place, and listen to what this sister is going to be sharing. Because she's going to share some $1 million information with you on the daily. I'm telling you from experience, she's going to share some stuff with you that would literally change your brand as an individual, change your brand as an entrepreneur, change your brand even in the marketplace, like even in corporate, even on a career path. She's going to tell you some steps and things that you could do to understand what is a brand and how you can take advantage of a brand. So we're going to bring Maya on, have her come in and join the show. And my producer's on his way, going out and get her from the green room.
Let's play some jazz.
Play some jazz? No, we ain't playing no jazz.
Play some jazz.
Man, we ain't playing no jazz. I'm the jazz.
You the jazz. Sing, man.
All right, and I'm gonna hit y'all with another book. This one, and the reason I'm highlighting this book is I always highlight this one because this is my creation. It's called My College Finance, and the reason I'm highlighting My College Finance, a guide for personal finance for students and parents, is this. I've been awarded approval to do a personal finance seminar at Morehouse College on March the 7th from 12 to 1 p.m. That's an incredible, incredible feat because this is in the space that we've been talking about. And I went and spoke to some of the leaders at Morehouse, gave them my proposal, told them that we really need to start focusing on teaching our young people personal finance before they get out into the real world. And their response, and kudos to the leadership over at Morehouse, because they came back in early January and said, we definitely want to have you to be a part of our seminar series, and we're going to have you to come in. So March the 7th, 12 to 1. Make sure you let everybody know about it. 12 to 1 on Morehouse's campus, we're going to be doing a seminar on personal finance for up-and-coming graduating seniors and undergraduate classes. So without further ado, we're going to bring on Maya Dukes, and y'all put your hands together for Maya. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks
Got
for
you some
having
headphones.
me.
They should be working really well.
Okay.
Should be working really well. I teed everybody up for you.
Okay,
Everybody out there, this is the Daily Bread Radio Show. Daily Bread Radio Show. This is Maya Dukes. She's the branding expert extraordinaire. Make sure that you got, I already told you. I always have to apologize because I'm always going to be taking some notes, right?
Okay.
So if you don't take heed to what I'm doing, if I'm on the show and I'm interviewing Maya and I'm taking notes, then that means you should be taking notes. But if you choose not to, if you just choose to kick back, put your feet up and say, hey man, I want to enjoy the show, do that too. But when you go back and look at the replay, take some notes, because like we say, it's not about being entertained, it's about you taking action. You get this information, don't put it somewhere in a box. Don't say, oh, she was great, she said some good stuff, she really helped out a lot of people. Take the information, put it into play as soon as possible. Because if you get information and you put it into play as soon as possible, then you tend to have results, and the results that you want to achieve a lot quicker. Not putting it, I heard about that, and what was that? Oh, this lady was on the Daily Bread Radio Show, and I didn't. No, take notes, take the steps that she's telling you to do, and do it. It's that simple. Just do it. And don't worry about having it perfect. She's going to go over all of that. And without further ado, Maya, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And I think it's going to be phenomenal. You can tell how excited I am. Because you remember when we spoke, you was like, yeah, I'm excited to do it. I was like, you excited?
Well, I am
I'm
excited.
super excited.
I'm excited, and I'm honored to have a platform and be a part of such a show that's transforming people's lives. Finances obviously transform people's lives, and so talking about finances and how to get from point A to point B, even in your professional career
Right.
and branding, it's all important and it's all transformative. So I am glad to be a part.
Okay, so y'all heard that, right? It A to B, and then you're gonna keep going, but you need that. You need to know where to go, how to do it. So we just gonna jump right in, Maya.
Let's do it.
Okay, so first question: Who is Maya Dukes?
Who is Maya Duke? So I am a mother. I'm a wife.
Okay.
I'm not a DJ.
No, you don't have to worry about it. We got the DJ.
I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and I am passionate about helping women reach their full brand potential. So I had a lot of unofficial mentors in my life that helped me, kind of see the next step and where I needed to go, and whether they were family members or colleagues or women that were 2 and 3 levels ahead of me, they poured something into me, and so I think I am here to pour what I have to offer the world back into people who who are looking for that next level, to reach that next level. So I think I am, I consider myself a light. I know that's kind of big, but I think I'm a light, and I want to use my light to help others shine.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, look at that.
Wow, that's what I'm talking about. I'm like, look, I ain't even started taking notes. I'm like, wow. But you hit on some key things, which is, and it's really in line with the Daily Bread radio show from the standpoint of, you've been given some, you feel that you've been fortunate to be exposed to some information that a lot of people are not exposed to.
And I like that word exposure, because a lot of times, especially in corporate, I think we feel like, that next level, or, reaching 6-figure status is unattainable because we don't have what it takes. And really, we're just not exposed. We're not exposed to, a lot of the information that other people are exposed to within corporate. For instance, you have to sit in certain meetings to understand goals and KPIs and what the company is really focused on, in order to speak that language. And sometimes we go to professional courses to help us, speak up in meetings and raise our hand. And really what we need to be taught is how to be strategic, and how to have vision, and how to see the next, the next biggest thing on the horizon, or the threats that the company's facing. How do we speak in corporate language? So if you don't have exposure to those things, then it is going to be a little bit harder for you to get to the next level. So I love the show, and how you're exposing people to different things.
Okay. So this would be just like if we had scripted it, right? Because it's just flowing right into what I was saying. So when you start saying, so I know I can kind of read the minds of the audience. So I know the audience is saying, sounds great, looks good, I understand it, but how do I get to learn? If I'm not invited to those type of meetings, if I'm not understanding what are the strategic goals, what are those key performance indicators, how do I get access, or how do I get exposure to that type of information?
Well, I think you have to, one, realize, you feel like you're stuck, right? So there were a couple times in my career where I felt like I was working hard, I was checking all the boxes off, and I couldn't get from point A to point B, and it left me feeling frustrated, unseen, unheard. And so I just, number one, I had to say, hey, listen, I'm kind of sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right.
And I know I need to level up. So where are there things, where are there areas where I'm missing? So basically, and you'll hear me kind of talk about, you'll hear me use some marketing terms. I just took some marketing terms or principles that I used to sell Fortune 50, Fortune 500 brands, their stuff, and I applied those principles to my career. But first I had to realize, hey, there's something missing, and what is that missing piece? So the first thing is realizing you need some more help, right? You've tried to do it this way, you've done it like this before in the past, things
Right.
aren't working, so realization, I need to change some things.
Some self-assessment.
Exactly, self-assessment. And then the next thing is really looking for courses or mentors or training that doesn't focus on what you don't have. You need to focus on what you have. So what are your
Whoa. Whoa, that was a whoa there, right? That's
mic drop?
Wait a minute. I'm like, wait a minute. So you know that's counterintuitive because we always hear about what?
Yeah.
Working on your weaknesses.
No, we know what our weaknesses are. What are our shine factors, right? So I say shine factors. What are the things? What's our unique value? What do we bring to the table? What do we do well? Let's amplify those things and use those shine factors to get the position we want. So if you're, constantly being told you don't have, you're not a great public speaker, and you go to this one-day training and you sit around and try to learn how to do public speaking, and it's still not your thing, because I've done that before and it's still not my thing, wouldn't you have had a better outcome if you went to a course that talked about, the things that are your thing?
Right.
And maybe your thing is, bringing people together. Or maybe your thing is, finding a solution when everyone's losing their mind, you're calm under pressure. Maybe your thing is, being able to see a threat on the horizon and coming up with a plan in advance to, so there's something you do that's better than your peers, and not to diminish anybody else's qualities, but there's something you do, and that's what you need to amplify. All this spending time on what we don't do right is counterintuitive, it's counterproductive, and it's going to continue to get you the same results.
Wow. Wow. And I'm hoping you all are taking this in, because listening to an expert share this with you is really better than, and the reason I say counterintuitive, because I've been down that same path that Maya's talking about, and many times, especially in corporate, when you're trying to really compete, it'll gnaw at you the fact that I'm not good at public speaking, right? But then it's something else, like you said, that you are very good at, and what you do is you take that quality
Yes.
and you amplify it. You work on getting even better. You work on being what I used to call just being dominant
Yes.
in that space.
So if you think about brands, so I always kind of refer back to companies and brands who have done it right. Let's think about Chick-fil-A. All right, do you think Chick-fil-A, have you ever seen Chick-fil-A do a commercial that says, we do chicken, we do chicken really well, but just haven't figured out how to do burgers. They're not concerned with that.
They ain't even,
They're not concerned.
they ain't even think about no
They do
hamburgers.
chicken. They do chicken. They amplify the fact they do chicken. They almost make you feel bad for eating beef. And they've made a huge campaign, a branded campaign, eat more chicken. Now, you see the cows, you almost laugh.
Right.
So why do we take, why when we should be talking about the awesome chicken sandwiches we make, are we sitting here talking about the burgers we don't know how to make?
Man, y'all got to turn the air down in here, boys. It's getting hot, man.
Oh, wow.
No, but the thing about that, Maya, is so, the right word to me is so liberating. But, because I think it's millions of people that go to work day in and day out. They have high aspirations of moving into another position, but the only thing that they stay fixated on is their supervisor or somebody that they look up to that keeps reminding them about their hamburger.
Yep.
And they make excellent chicken, and they are afraid to really showcase the chicken sandwiches, because they fear that when I get to my annual review, she's gonna pull out the fact that I don't do, or he's gonna pull out that I don't do burgers well. But before we get into that,
Yes.
I would be remiss if I didn't do this. Let's take a few steps back, right?
Sure.
Can you share with the audience, because now we're getting into branding. Can you share, and I know when we were in the green room, you were sharing with me and Jerome, what is branding and what is a brand?
Yeah.
Explain that to my listening
Sure.
audience and the people that are watching this. What's a brand and why is a brand important?
Okay, so what we were just talking about is how a lot of my clients come to me and they're like, okay, I need marketing. And I always say, okay, let's step back because I understand the objective. You want to sell more products, you want more exposure. But do you have a brand? Do customers know who you are and what you stand for? And that question can be asked for a professional. Does your organization know what you stand for?
Whoa.
You know, your shine factors, are you amplifying those shine factors? And then with a business, in the case of a business, does your business say, I am X, Y, or Z, right? So let's just use an example for branding. I always say, I always use Harley Davidson, right? And when we were talking earlier, I said, tell me what you think when you think about a Harley Davidson. You think, and you said?
Free.
Free, right?
Being free.
That is one of their brand tenets, freedom. Freedom, patriotism, macho. Their bikes are the biggest, loudest, most macho bikes on the road. Let them tell it.
Right.
Because that's what their brand has those qualities, they have amplified those qualities, right? So a brand is basically, you know, what people think, what your values are, of course, first and foremost, and then what people think when they hear your name, when they see you, when they Google you. So I did a post on Instagram the other day, and I said, hey, if I Google your name and I don't see anything, that's fine, but what does that mean about your brand?
Mm-hmm.
If I Google your name and I see you hanging out with shots of Patron, that's fine too. If you want to be a rapper or whatever it is you want to be, and I'm not saying all rappers are out there, you know, with shots of Patron or whatever, but what I'm saying
But it has
is
to be aligned to your brand.
it has to be aligned with your brand. And even when I talk to young girls and I say, okay, what's your brand? If you're 12 and you say your brand is to help other girls, you know, become successful women, then you shouldn't be gossiping. And you shouldn't be engaging in conversations that put other girls down. And so your brand is, you know, what your value systems are, what you believe in, what your personality is, and then how other people perceive you.
Okay. So we getting schooled today on the Daily Bread Radio Show. I feel like we back in college, right? I'm like, man, the bell ain't getting ready to ring either, because the bell don't ring in college. They just say that's the end of class and we out of here. But just, I mean, and thinking about brand, because Maya brought up some key points. So what do people think when they see you, right? What are your shine factors? But I want to take it a step further since we have the branding expert here. So what are the key steps to building an effective brand?
So, great question. You need to know your value. You need to know what you stand for, right? So you need to create, for instance, when I meet with people, and whether it's a business or it's an individual who's trying to elevate their career, I ask them, what do you stand for? And if you're a business owner, you are the company. So the question is, what do you stand for? What do you stand for as an employee, an associate? And we start thinking about the things that set you apart. We start thinking about your value system. We start thinking about your ambitions, your goals, and we start writing those things down. And we put them down and we really think, we dive deep, right? And then we develop a brand statement. So this is a statement that, you know, it can go in your bio. It can help you drive conversations with advertising. When you have a brand statement, everything you do, say, advertise, market, points back to that brand statement. And it encompasses your values, your personas. If you're a business, what are your personas? So we go through those steps, and then you're able to kind of talk about what are the assets I need, and how do I speak to my customers. And your customers, if you're a professional and you're trying to get to a senior manager or senior director or whatever that role is, your customers are decision makers. Your customer is your boss. Your customers are your peers. These are the people you need to sell to. And when I say sell, it's sell your skill, sell your shine factors, sell the things that elevate you and put a spotlight on your skills, because that's what you're gonna have to do when you get into that review, is sell yourself. So when you have a brand, now if I walk into your office for my performance review and I know what my brand is, I've defined it, everything I've done has aligned to that brand. When I get to your office, you aren't gonna try to make me sell hamburgers, because you know my chicken sandwich is fire. Right, we're back to the chicken, right?
Everybody in the studio bust out laughing. I thought it was just me. I'm like,
but what I'm saying is, if you're
that's a good position.
yeah,
though.
it's a great place to be, instead of having someone tell you what
Right.
what you've done. Now you have all the measures, all the KPIs, everything that aligns to your best qualities. And so that's why it's important to have a brand. And translating that to a business, of course, when a customer relates to a brand, like let's say for instance, I shop at Zara because they're trendy, they're cutting edge, they're avant-garde. I select products, and most consumers select products that are congruent with their self-image. So, if
Whoa.
I think I'm trendy, if I think I'm avant-garde, if I think I'm cutting edge, I'm gonna look for brands that make me feel that way.
Right.
And so you need to have a brand. Now, I'm not saying now change your brand to match someone else. You need to have your brand, and then you know what kind of people you're gonna attract.
Right. And that, I'm playing with
That's funny.
I'm about to get you some more special effects, man. You love playing with that special effects.
I love it.
And that really ties into the way that they sell it and the way that we make decisions about buying, because that's the buying decision as far as when we feel like we're aligned with Zara or Harley Davidson, or even like when you're making school choices.
Yes.
So I want to go to this college or that
That's
college.
so true.
So you see different things. You're like, well, I went and visited, and they were a little hype. They were a little too hype.
Yeah.
Right. And then you go somewhere, you're like, I think I can fit in good here.
Right, and
Right?
some schools, a lot of schools, brand themselves in certain ways, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
Syracuse brands themselves, they're very big on, communications, and so, they talk about all the people who have come out of Syracuse, that have gone on to be brilliant communicators, and so they constantly talk about that. And that's another thing, if you have something that makes you unique and special, and you're at work and you're all day long doing that thing that makes you unique and special, and you're making millions of dollars for the company, but you don't let anybody know, if a tree falls in the woods and doesn't make a sound, did it make a sound? Or no one hears it, does it make a sound?
Right.
Right, so if you're in a corner all day long being a rock star and no one knows you're a rock star, you're not really a rock star. You are to yourself, but to the decision makers, your customers, you're not a rock star. You have to be visible and outstanding.
Boy. I told y'all, I said, man, I got a young lady that's coming on next. I told y'all last week. I said, we got a young lady coming on next week. You do not want to miss, because she is going to be bringing some heat to the Daily Bread radio show. So, getting into the branding. So, tell us about Polished Women Shine. Tell us about, I can tell you how you was like, why is he asking me all these other questions?
No, these are great
And I want to get to that. But I know that's your baby.
Yeah.
So tell us about Polished Women Shine.
Well, and let's talk about branding. So I had to establish my brand. I came on the show, I had to establish my brand as a thought leader. And so I wasn't just gonna come here and start talking about Polished Women Shine. So I obviously had to, let the audience know, and not sit in the corner, and let everyone know, why I'm an expert in this field. So Polished Women Shine, came about, and let me just back up and kind of talk about amplifying your best qualities and not focusing on your weaknesses. So I have been in a lot of leadership roles for some big companies, right? So Macy's, Home Depot, Comcast, NBC Universal, Tuesday Morning, and I was able to get to leadership levels with only an associate's degree. That's a 2-year degree. I had a 2-year art degree, sitting at Comcast, NBC Universal as a senior director, right? So when you
I'm about to throw a flag. Time out, personal foul. Listen, time out, time out. We're gonna rewind.
Okay.
Okay, I want you to just say what you just said, that part, because I don't think people heard that part.
They missed it.
I mean, just say that little snippet. Let's do that sound bite one more time.
So I have been able to cultivate and grow a career, making 6 figures and high 6-figure incomes with only an associate's degree. Now I just earned my bachelor's degree in December of last year, so just a month and a half ago, because I knew to get to the next level, I wanted to level up and do a lot more than what I was doing. But I say that to say, Polished Women Shine came about, for me, really thinking about how much I was able to accomplish with what I had and without focusing on the things I didn't have. And I wanted other women to know that, we get these performance reviews and we get people telling us what we should be and what we're not, how we're not meeting expectations and they're rating us. But really, if we took the time to really, focus on our lights and our shine factors and the things that make us shine, how much further would we be, right? So if I had spent my whole career thinking about the fact that I didn't have a bachelor's degree and I was a working mom, as I got, through different stages of my career, there was more work on me. So going to school wasn't an option at the time. Going back wasn't an option. And so if I had spent my time thinking about what I couldn't be or what I couldn't have or what I couldn't do because I only had ... I would never have even applied to some of these jobs, right? So I walked into Comcast, NBC Universal. I had a day full of meetings. I might have like 8 interviews. I prepped for it. I got an interview coach. I practiced. I worked hard. I got my resume together. My portfolio was on point. I knew what I had done for other organizations. I walked in and I was like, tell me why you won't hire me. I don't care if I don't have a degree. Tell me why, other than a degree, and I'm not even talking about that because you saw I didn't have a degree when you saw my resume. I've never lied about it.
Right.
I never, I don't have a bachelor's, but I do have A through Z. So you have to tell me why I can't get this job.
Ooh-wee.
And they couldn't.
That's
and
a
I got the
hard.
job.
Hey, let me say this. I'm gonna insert a little something right there. And what Maya is saying is the absolute 1,000% true, because as a leader, when you're looking at a candidate pool, the first thing we do, you go through and look at resumes. So if they didn't feel like she was even qualified, or let me put it a different way. If they didn't feel like she could add additional value to what they were doing, she would have never even had the opportunity to take part in the interview. So when you go to the interview, if you get the opportunity to interview, just know there's a reason that they want to see what's behind door number 3.
So
Like
I will-
even if you're not
That
ready.
is so true. And
Yeah.
I will tell you, so that role for Comcast was in user experience. I had never had any, I didn't have a background in user experience. My background was, and is branding, creative direction, marketing, right? But my brand is leadership, because I'm clear about that. I branded myself as a leader in every organization I went to. I continue to have more and more staff. Our results showed that I was a successful leader, and so when I walked in, I knew who I was. This is my brand, I'm a leader. So, yes, there's an associate's degree, and yes, there's no user experience here, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about my brand as a leader, and that's what they needed. And so when your shine factors align with what someone needs, it's magic. Stop wasting your time on people telling you what you don't have, because maybe you guys aren't meant to be together. Maybe they don't need what you have, and you can go somewhere that you're needed. And so that's what I focused on. And as long as you're clear, back to the brand, as long as you're clear about the things that make you unique, you're gonna start attracting those people who need what you have. So that's where Polished Women Shine came from, is really having a passion to show women, and not in non-traditional advice too, because I'm tired of like, get a mentor. Got it, we got that advice, we know. Be a mentor. If leadership is your, if that's your brand, show people, even though you're not leading teams, go get a mentor and say, hey, boss, I showed the new hires how to onboard more effectively, and it resulted in, 2% less turnover. Okay, now you're speaking her language, and now you're amplifying your brand as a leader, as a helper, or whatever that brand is. Once you identify that, you're able to use it. So that's why I'm so passionate about Polished Women Shine. I really help women reach their full, we work together to help you reach your full brand potential.
Man, that's not, you're gonna have to go back and look at this replay, because this is a lot to take in. But with the Polished Women Shine, help us, kind of walk us through what it's like to go through that process, and the results that women should expect after going through the process.
Absolutely. So I offer several ways to get the information, right? So if you're going through the course, I have a course, it's called Shine Season Course, because I feel like it's shine season every season. So the course is called Shine Season Course, and I do an hour course that really walks you through all of the, what does the word shine mean, right? So standing out, honing your skills, integrating your brand, neutralizing the negative, and E is executing, right? So, or elevating, I'm sorry, and elevating. So shine is, so those are the words that that make up the shine. So shine isn't really superficial, and I know it sounds like, oh, why is she saying Polished Women Shine and it's all about how we look? No, it's really about, standing out, honing your skills, integrating your brand, neutralizing the negative, and then elevating. And I walk you through how to do that. And then once you start to see results, and you're gonna see results, people are gonna see you more confident, you're gonna be more confident, you're gonna know what you stand for, you're gonna know how to, we look at your LinkedIn profile, we look at your social media, is it amplifying that brand? You're gonna walk away being super clear about who you are and what you stand for, so you can go and target those companies that align with your brand, or target those customers that align with your brand. And so once we do that, so that's the hour course. And then you also can meet with me for a 3-week intensive course after the hour webinar, and that webinar is free. And then you have an opportunity to meet with me in a group setting. We do Zoom courses, Zoom meetings, and then we really talk about your goals, defining those brands. We get down deep. So the course is an hour, but you can't, it's high level,
Right.
and it's hard to start diving deep and really getting those brand statements down. and really thinking about how do you, you know, amplify your wardrobe to pay off your brand, because that's important. I know everybody wears flip-flops and jeans and whatever, and all the rich people do or whatever, but we're not rich yet. So I have a stylist, a friend, who's a stylist, and she always says this, and it makes so much sense. She said, you know, Mark Zuckerberg, you're not Mark. He's a billionaire, and when he had to go talk to Congress, he put on a jacket. And she says it all the time, and I'm like, you know what, you're right. And so, you know, how do you select your wardrobe to amplify your brand? How are you more intentional? Then we look at all of your assets, and your branded assets are your social media, your resume, if you're a business, your capability statement, your you know, your pitch decks, your headshots. How do you look when we Google you, right? And then we evaluate and talk about where we need to kind of to elevate, you know, your brand. After we have established what that is, how do we elevate your branded assets? And then we work together with a photographer where we get your headshots down. You get a one-page website that kind of talks about, you know, what your shine factors are. So when people Google you, you start to have a, you know, a brand that stands out to decision makers. And by the end of the course, you're going to be able to get that role, get that position, get to the next level, and do it with confidence.
Ooh, that is excellent. Now, when I say that, I mean, trust me, everything that Maya's sharing with us tonight this is priceless information, because this is the difference between entry level, mid-level, director level, and then executive level. So, and everything that she's saying is the truth, from who's going to be your customer, how we feel, what we do, how we do it, and everything speaks and ties back into your brand. So I know we're getting close to the end of the show. So Maya, tell everyone how they can contact you, what they need to do as next steps.
Okay.
So that way they can get tied into, and one caveat, Polished Women Shine is not just for women, right?
Exactly. I have.
Because I know we've been talking about this for like 2 weeks. I'm like,
Yeah,
I just want to, because I don't want the guys to feel some type of way. Like, I would do it, but it said Polished Women. I was like, I know, but it's branding. Just say you're going to a branding expert, right?
Exactly. So my passion, of course, the women are near and dear to my heart. But I do have some clients that, some male clients, and they're, you know, like I said, I have a passion for letting people, for telling people how to focus and amplify the things that their best qualities. And so if you're a guy that wants to reach out, please do. You know, we're not learning how to be girly. We're learning how to amplify our brand to get what we want, right? So, and you can reach me. So for the course, it's Shine Season Course. And it basically, there's a course that runs kind of, you know, every couple minutes, and then you have an opportunity to sign up for the 3-week intensive through that course. And then you can also reach me at Maya, M-A-Y-A, at MayaDukes.com. So Dukes like Dukes of Hazzard, put up your Dukes. So Maya at MayaDukes.com is the best way to reach me. And then social media is Maya.Dukes. And you can DM me. A lot of clients just reach out and DM me and say, hey, can we work together? And that's easy. You don't have to, if you're ready to start now, you don't have to do anything else but DM me and reach out to me. And then also on my website is MayaDukes.com. So if you think about, like I said, if you think about a brand, I'm confident enough to use my name over and over again in all channels, because that's my brand and that's
what you represent.
That's what I represent. So, and it's easy to remember and easy to contact me.
Well, I would say this is episode 89, and Maya,
89.
We want to thank you for definitely coming
you.
on to the show. And it just, I mean, trust me, D Callahan, I know you got a business, I see my wife Tanya on. I've seen my frat brother on. Carl, I seen you on. I seen my kids on. All of us need to take the time, check out all of her information, and I'm not. I'm not the official brand ambassador for Maya, but what I'm saying is this.
You
But
have
what I-
the last you're awesome. You're
But
awesome.
what I'm saying is this. Just think about this. If you have, everybody individually has a brand already. So that's one. If you're working in corporate, that's a second brand. That's two. If you're an entrepreneur, that's three. So when you go and work with Maya, even though you may be working on your individual brand to get to the next level, and I want to learn how to do this, and you're going to, elevate your shine factors, guess what? That same information applies to your business. So you really need to give some serious thought to making an investment in yourself, because keep in mind, you're not spending the money with anybody. You're spending the money, and the return on investment is you. So if you spend the money, get the course, go through the course, and then you get a higher position, are you able to move your company forward? The return on investment is for you. So what we always stress on the Daily Bread Radio Show is what? We got to educate, right? Educate, motivate, elevate. Educate, right? So you're getting education. Maya just gave it to you. If you was distracted, you can go back and listen to the replay. Motivate. Now you motivated. I'm ready to do that. But then the last piece, it's going to help you to elevate. It's going to elevate you as an individual. It's going to elevate you, your brand, and it's going to elevate you and put you into position to take advantage of opportunities that you wouldn't have otherwise had you not taken the course. So take the course, invest in yourself, and then also you have somebody on your team. Now you got a person that you can bounce stuff on after you've taken the course to say, hey, Maya, this is what I'm doing, such and such and such. She's not going to say, hey, go back and read up on the course. Go ahead and take the next course.
Exactly.
But she's saying, hey, I'm doing this because I'm passionate about it, and her brand is, and she's going to use her light to shine. So on that note, I definitely want to thank you, Maya, for joining the Daily Bread Radio Show. Don't be, hey, you can come back on again, because I think we're going to need you again.
I would love to.
And we're going to take advantage of your services, and we want to, and if there's anything that we can do to help you get the word out, make sure that people understand the importance, especially young girls, because we was having a conversation off the air about teen suicide and the way that people feel about themselves. We need to make sure that we're pouring into other people as well. So it's not just about the course, but it's about you being able to teach people the importance that they have and the value that they have already.
Yep.
And then we take them to where they need to go. So
Exactly.
I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank
I have to
you
keep
so
saying
much.
it. Right here, you did a good job. Jerome, you got, hey, send me, he been clicking the whole time. So, hey, we're going to have to get together so you can send me some of those pictures. But y'all have a great week. Have a great week. Take some action. Educate, motivate, elevate. That's all you need to do. Educate, motivate, elevate. We'll see you all next week. I want to thank you all for joining the show. 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Thursday right here, Daily Bread Radio Show with your host, Joaquin Thompson Sr. I love this song. Hey! I love this song, man. That was a great, man. Oh yeah. No doubt.
Thank you guys. That was so fun. I really appreciate it.
Look at you, man. Wait a minute, man. Like you all.
Yeah, he already know.
King Wasabi.
Get the Daily Bread in the backdrop. Here we go. And another one more. Cool, one more. Got it.
Thank you
Appreciate
guys
it.
so much.
No, thank you, Mike. That was great. Awesome show.
Thank you.
We're gonna do some things.
She was schooling me out there, so I was like,
Look, you was over there like this. I kept looking at the wrong. I was like,
I got my
I'm like, man.